Well, hello everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are here on our Friday lunchtime broadcast, and that means that we will be talking about taking the next step in our goals. For those of you who might be new, let me explain how this works. What we're going to do is at the beginning, we're going to be talking some news, views, and updates because we're a big extended family. We care about one another, and so we try to keep up to date with the information that we might have. And then we will go on to the actual broadcast topic itself. If you're watching on the replay, it's really easy. It's going to say from 00 to such and such a time, news, views, and updates. And then from another time onwards, the topic of the day. And by the way, today we're going to be talking some incredibly interesting quotes from Richard Branson of the Virgin Corporation. And I think you'll be quite surprised at some of the things that he says and believes in. And also, I've managed to put together a few really interesting facts that I think you might not know about him. So hi to Charlotte and hi to Jody. Thank you for joining us and anybody else who might be listening in. This is indeed a special weekend for me. I just wanted to say that before we get on to the other side of it, because tomorrow, 6 years ago, I gave up smoking. And I'm just about to look like I'm crying, which I'm not. I'm just suffering from some allergies, which some of you know about. So it seems incredible to me that I've actually managed to do that. In 6 very interesting years, I found out a great deal about myself since I haven't used a cigarette as a crutch, and I realized that I use sugar instead. And now it is my time. Hi, Marie. It is my time to give up, eating sugar to that degree as well. I'm not giving it up totally. I will be going for those of you who didn't catch the broadcast on this, I will be going to a dietitian and having that discussion with the dietitian about, the best practices. Obviously, as you've all told me, and other people have told me, that is the ideal. What you do is your business, and you pay the price if you don't listen carefully. But it's just like I definitely don't plan to give up everything. I just would rather eat far less of it than give it up, and that's really what I'm working on. I'm continuing to lose the couple of pounds that I put on on that one night. If you can believe it, lost 2 pounds and then put it straight back on again on one night. I'm down 1 pound and I'm just working on losing the second one. I just need to get out and walk some more and that'll be gone as well. And then I'll be on my way back down again. So I just thought I would give you that update. I'm feeling pretty good. Now that I think about it, I haven't had the migraine headache problem for a couple of days now, so that's awesome. So I haven't needed to take anything for that, but that was really quite nasty for a week, I think, that I was getting these migraine headache things going on. So in terms of news, views, and updates, we wanted to send a lot of thoughts and prayers to Lauren. She not only is in hospital, but now her mum is in the same ward, if you can believe it. The two of them in hospital together. So we wish them a speedy recovery. I think there's something to do with mum's back, if I'm correct on that, Jody. I'm not quite sure what caused that, but if I understood it correctly, there's something wrong with her back. We also wanted to send thoughts and prayers to Marie. Marie lost if I'm correct on this, Marie, just correct me if I'm wrong, but she lost the family dog this week. And so some of us anyway, really know that pain. And, it just takes time is all I can say, Marie. It takes time, one step at a time and one day at a time. The first year is the worst. And then after that, things get a little easier. Hi, Sakura, good to see you. And so it's a sad week for a lot of people. I just wanted to thank everybody who is on board, helping me walk my way to help. I really have to thank you. That would be Hi, Beth. Glad you're listening in. I'd like to thank who's on there: Jody, Lauren, Sakura, Marie. They've all joined up and they're walking with me. I am amazed. I said I wanted to walk, I think it's about 25 miles from my local pier to a town called Abbotsford, and I gave myself until Valentine's Day to do it, and I'm there. That's the most incredible thing to me. So it just goes to show, and I put up a little note on that on the DearMamaSal.com website, that little things add up. Do you know what I mean? That you don't realize. I think, Jody, you probably noticed that as well, and Sakura, and anybody else who's doing it. It's, when you start, you sort of think, oh, well, what's going on? And suddenly you go, wow, am I that far already? And so it goes to show how little things do make a difference. I was doing 5,000 steps a day. My new goal is to try and get it up to 5,500 steps a day, which of course is laughable when you know that Beth can do 34,000 without even, passing go. But that's okay. This is not a competition. This is about, I want to improve the number I am doing. And so I look at it and I go, I intend to keep bringing the number up and finding ways to do that, even if the weather is bad and I have to stay inside. So that's what I'm trying to do is, okay, how do I put in that many steps if I can't go outside because the weather isn't good? Because, when you live in British Columbia, that's rather important. It would be a bit like anybody living in New Hampshire at this time of the year. And talking about that, and Nyasha is also part of the group while I think about it. So here's the thing. Nyasha is on elliptical. Jody is doing arm rolls. Lauren is wheeling her way. So it's just like really interesting how many different ways we can do this and still be aware of our health. And Jody, I wondered whether you're finding that your strength in your arms is getting any better. If we set a goal with Beth, we'd probably have to tell her walk around the world. She'd be across the country in no time at all. So I'm trying to think if there's any other news. I was looking at birthdays. Let me have another look at that. In terms of birthdays coming up, for those of you who go way back, and I don't think there's anybody on board at the moment that goes that far back, but in the very, very, very early days, we had a viewer called Medic Sizzle, and it's his birthday, was this birthday earlier this week. Next week, we've got a couple of birthdays coming up for people who are, remember some of the older viewers. So we'll talk about those when we get there next week. Okay, so Jody's saying that she's finding that she's getting a little bit stronger. It's interesting, actually. What I do, Jody, just so that you know, if I find I'm behind, because I work it out that I try to do this many steps each hour. So if I'm like 250 steps behind, I will do the arm rolls, or I will do this so that all the jiggly bits move, or I will do this, or I will do this. I'll do whatever it takes to build up those extra steps, because I know anytime I move, it's adding, it's getting my circulation going. So you understand, Jody, you're not the only one doing arm rolls. You'll be surprised how many times in the day I have to put in a couple of hundred just to get up to date. All right, so Beth is saying, hey, Sal, that binge eating on something and you get on the scale within the next day, it will show the weight gain. Yeah, I know that one, but it's water weight. To actually gain true pound, you have to overeat every day for a week. Well, I don't think I did that. Only weigh once a week for a true reading. Okay, I wonder what day. Probably a Saturday. Yes, that's right, Sakura. Mine does as well. It sends off an alarm if in 10 minutes to the hour you need to do another 250 steps, or maybe just 50. It'll tell you. if you get up and take another 50 steps now, you've made your goal for the time. Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it, Sakura, that you realize that you can actually do, even as you say, if you just shake your body, anything that causes movement will be, causes your circulation to increase. I only gained water weight. You probably didn't gain a pound. You might even have lost weight. Well, it's still there. Well, one of it's still there. So now how do I lose the water weight, Beth? Yes, and I'm glad that you're excited about it as well, Sakura, because if you had told me I would walk from White Rock Pier to Abbotsford in a couple of weeks, I would have laughed at you and said, there's no way. But when you actually have it plotting, it is amazing how quickly. So I'm getting quite excited about this journey. All right. Any other news from anybody that we need to be updated on that I might have forgotten? Because, it's me. Lemon water, a lot of it. Okay, fine. It's the sodium. Yes, my sodium's been up a bit, Beth. I noticed that. I'm glad that not really glad you mentioned that, but I did notice something that I quite enjoy has quite a bit of sodium, and I'm probably 1,000 milligrams or whatever it is over what I would like to be doing in sodium. So that needs a bit of attention. Okay. So heavy on the water now just to flush that lot out, right? Okay. But that's a learning, one bit at a time. The main thing is I'm really proud of myself, Beth, as to being able to keep the carbs below 50%, except on a Sunday. I allow myself to go a little bit over on a Sunday. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Beth. Even though I was beating up on myself earlier this week, I'm actually quite proud of what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm just hoping that it will show signs of, I know it'll take time, but eventually that it will show that I can take myself out of diabetes, because I think that is a great role model for anybody. I would like to do that. Now, I don't mind telling you I'm a little cautious, would be the word, because even though this is 6 years tomorrow, giving up smoking, I have a CAT scan of my lungs coming up on, I think it's Thursday. Now, I have no reason to believe that there's anything wrong in my lungs, but you understand that just the fact that they're doing that is a little scary to me. So I am going to I'm going to keep positive on this one and just understand that it is what it is, and I need to get it checked, because a history of having smoked all my life, if I don't get my lungs checked, I'd be stupid. So that's what I'm doing. So hang on. Toes and fingers crossed, everybody, and hair, that this all turns out to be fine. All right, Sakura, thank you for popping in. It's always a pleasure to see you. So, Beth, I hear you. I will now do, it's the first time that I had an x-ray done about 4 years ago, but now I'm having a CAT scan done. So I think I had an x-ray done about 2 years after I stopped, but now this time I'm having a full CAT scan done. So let's see how I do. The main thing is, I do need to tell you this, that I am surprised at, in a lot of ways, how healthy I am, considering all the abuse I've done to my body over the years. And I was saying to my doctor, the really funny thing is that I am heavier than I've ever been, but on the other hand, I can get around the block faster than I've ever been able to. Now, would somebody explain that one to me? It's like, I can remember a year ago, I've got a big block that I do, and it used to take me over 20 minutes to get around it. And I can do it I've done it in 14 minutes, just over 14 minutes one day. So, To me, this is like, why is that possible? How can I be carrying so much weight? And the other thing is my resting heart rate, considering how much weight I'm pushing around every day, my resting heart rate is, in the 50s. And for somebody of my age, that is pretty interesting, I would say. I think even my doctor gets a bit confused with me on that one. So I'm doing something right. I'm not quite sure what it is, and I'm working on trying to find out, but I'm doing something right. In terms of the downsizing, everybody, I just wanted to let you know that my realtor came yesterday. She's also my friend, Patty. But she came yesterday, and she was really impressed with what I've managed to do. And she said that she's quite stunned at what I've managed to do. And I quite honestly am getting to the stage now where I'm getting really close to being ready to list it. Probably a month, I would think, if I work really hard. So, it's nearly there, people, after a year. It's taken me a year to get downsized. It's amazing to me. Yes, I think that's true, Beth. Sometimes if you're more active, you will have a higher resting heart rate. What I have done is I've worked really hard since I retired to de-stress myself. So I'm not rushing around doing things anymore the way I used to. Yeah. So I think, check on it, Marie, see what a normal resting heart rate is for somebody in their 20s. Yeah. Mine's in the top 25% or 20%, I think, even for somebody of my age. When I check it, they sort of go, wow, that's incredible at your age. So they keep saying those words, at your age. And so that's really interesting. By the way, for those of you who have diabetes, my doctor told me something interesting that I thought was interesting anyway. He was saying, how we for those of us who suffer from diabetes, our goal is to get our numbers down below 7. He was saying that, if you're 80 something and your sugars go up to 8, he said, quite honestly, he says, Sal, I would give you a thumbs up. Because at 80, if your sugar is like that, then enjoy it. And I thought, that's why I like my doctor. It's like, I think that he has a very healthy attitude about things. And, he was really, I couldn't believe it. If those of you who've heard me talk about him before, he's not what I call somebody who is effusive with his praise on anything. For 30 years, he moaned at me to give up smoking, and then I did. And, I remember going to him when I'd already been I'd already quit for 2 years. And I said to him, would it hurt you just to say, well done? He said, well, we'll see, And I said, you got to be joking. I've quit for 2 years and you can't even say, well done. And he said, well, yeah, whatever. And now it's 6 years. I've given up even hoping that he'll tell me I did a good job. I don't need his approval anymore. I know I did a good job. So that I'm happy about that. All right, Jody, I'm going to do a time check here if we don't have any more news from anybody for 19 and a half minutes. And what I thought we would do today is talk about Richard Branson, because, on the Friday lunchtime broadcast, I like to do success stories, because to me, I think, if we can learn from the people who've learned to be successful, then, every one step we take in the right direction will help us. So I'm hoping that some of you will get some inspiration for whatever it is you're trying to do. So you have to think about what it is you're trying to achieve this week. But before we do, I thought I'd tell you a couple of things I found out about Richard Branson, which I didn't know. So Actually, a couple of them I did, but a couple of them I didn't. So I thought I'd share them with you in the hope that maybe some of you will go, gosh, that's interesting. Now, do you all know who Richard Branson is? He's the guy that started Virgin Records originally. And then he went on to do Virgin, just about everything. He's busy in the space race at the moment. Yes, good, Jody. He's also in the space race. He's trying to do commercial space travel. And, he's doing all sorts of things, but really a very, very successful entrepreneur. So he built his entire empire, began with Virgin Records. And when he sold the record label, I don't know if you know that, but he actually sold it. He sold it in 1992 for over $1 billion. And he is reported to have cried during the whole of the selling process. Can you believe that? To Branson, it wasn't the money. Nobody would cry in sentiment over earning $1 billion. It was the fact that Virgin Records was his gateway to success. Isn't that beautiful? And by the way, the things I'm about to tell you about him came from an article written by a guy called Nat Berman in Money Inc. Yes, Jody mentions Necker Island. Did you know, though? I mean, for those of you who don't know, he owns an island called Necker Island, and we'll talk a bit more about that. But what he also did was he created the Necker Nymph submarine. He actually found a way to travel beneath the ocean. And, people who visit the island can take an underwater ride to the island. Isn't that amazing? I didn't know that people got a chance to actually get to the island by submarine if you wanted to. They say most consider Branson to be crazy, a crazy daredevil who is filthy rich. And whilst all those statements are true, he's also been given an award by the United Nations. Did you know that? And I thought that was interesting. Known as the Correspondence Association's Citizen of the World Award, Branson earned it with Nelson Mandela when they collectively initiated the Elders, a human rights advocacy group that formed in 2007. The purpose of the group was to create improvements and voice concerns over areas of human suppression and injustice in all corners of the globe. I didn't know that he shared that award with Nelson Mandela. Didn't know he had the award even. So that goes to show, right? And most people don't know that he dropped out of school. This to me, and I'm not talking about college, he dropped out of school. Many articles and stories talk about billionaires who dropped out of college. And while that's impressive, Branson did not even finish high school. He dropped out at the age of 16. So, and part of the reason they believe is that as a child, Branson had a severe case of dyslexia. And for those of you who don't know what dyslexia is, that's when you get your numbers mixed up or your words mixed up. All sorts of things like that. Anyway, he had a severe case of dyslexia that prevented him from being able to focus on reading and writing. This could have been one of the primary reasons for him dropping out of school. However, through hard work, he was able to overcome this challenge, and you would not even know that he's dyslexic today. Ironically, during his time in high school, he founded a magazine titled Student, which successfully sold advertising space and other content. Even during high school, he was using his business sense to improve the lives of others. So I thought that was interesting. So I've got some quotes from him that I hoped would give you some excitement. Do you like doing this where we, take a famous person and, find out some facts about them that we might not have known? I just find it fascinating. I'm going, gosh, I've always respected the man for a lot of other things that we will talk about, but I didn't know some of those things that I quoted. So one of the things that Richard Branson says is this: please be polite. Nothing in life should erode the habit of saying thank you to people or praising them. How many of you make a point of saying thank you to people? Or please? And the reason that I say that is because, in this day and age of rush, 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 people will say, well, I know that you meant it. And I go, no. I find that when I actually write to people and say, I did mean to say please at the end of that, they say, well, but that was inferred. And I go, no, it wasn't inferred. It needs to be said, And so to me, I am very aware that it doesn't cost a whole lot to say please or thank you. It does take just that split second of extra time. And quite often I find that I forget to do it. I mean it. I know I mean it. Hi, Trina. I mean to do it, and it is in my head, but I actually don't write it. And so I will then, if you like, punish myself and make myself go back and write that word or say, I meant please. Because it really is important that we keep saying please and thank you to people. And Jody's saying, yes, you absolutely do that, Sal. Yeah, I do. And I always feel really badly when I'm in too much of a rush to do it. And Branson, Trina, we are talking about quotes from Richard Branson. Respect is how to treat everyone, not just those you want to impress. Okay, so Beth is saying, I say please, but one of my workers says please when she's trying to manipulate me. I see right through it. Yes, you know something? Manipulation is manipulation, right? So it doesn't matter how manipulation is framed. It is what it is. But I think the question, Beth, is why does she do that, right? Why does she need to manipulate? And then you will get the person who'll go, please, 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 please. That is a manipulation. And I think that's a very good point that you bring up, Beth. Thank you. So to me, again, it's if they're acting like a 5-year-old. I think you were a people pleaser, Beth. I think you're growing out of that. So, I'm a great believer in that one needs to be aware of who's trying to manipulate you. And I normally try and find out why they are. And I will actually call it, Beth, just so you know. I will say, that sounds horribly like you're trying to manipulate me. I'm pretty sure that's not true, right? I word it that way. And I give them the benefit of the doubt that it's not what they're trying to do. But it sure does sound like it. There's no greater thing that you can do, he said. There's no greater thing that you can do with your life and your work than to follow your passions in a way that serves the world and you. I think it's really important that we understand that. Richard Branson has always done what he wanted to do and wanted to make it fun and wanted to make it fun for everybody around him. And I think that's a wonderful way to be. He said, listen to people, right? Take the best, leave the rest. In other words, if you're trying to get ideas from people or information, listen carefully to everybody and then take what is useful to you and don't worry about the rest of it. Just, go, okay, fine. This is the bit that I wanted some input on. This is the bit that makes sense to me. I will consider this. You don't have to do it, but I will consider this in the big scheme of things. I like this one because I think it's also very, very true. Don't become a slave to technology. manage your phone. Don't let your phone manage you. How many of you know that you are now a slave to your phone or your laptop? Well, hi, Ty. Good to see you. We're talking quotes from Richard Branson today, Ty. All right, so Beth is saying, what should I do if one of my managers is talking bad about another manager? I don't really want to hear it. I would say, the funny thing is that I've found, Beth, is I will say to somebody, if you really feel this strongly about this person, why don't you put it in writing? And I will get her to put her side of the story forward. Yeah, you see, most people won't put it in writing, Beth. It's gossip. Exactly. And so the other thing is they'll say yes, but you know what? They're saying this. Who's they? Well, I don't want to tell. Well, when you're ready to tell me who it is that's saying this stuff, then we'll talk about it. Yep. And you can, but the thing is this, what if what they're saying is true? Would you want to hear about it? So, you've got a difficulty when you're a manager. Because what if it's true? Richard Branson said, engage your emotions at work. Your instincts and emotions are there to help you. Now, you probably know that he's really an incredible manager in terms of he's really hands-on in lots of ways, and yet he's really hands-off in lots of ways. He dresses up whenever he needs to. He really enjoys his staff. And all sorts of things like that. He doesn't sort of have an attitude of I am the boss. Everybody do exactly what I say. He really, I think there's a quote somewhere here, and it'll probably come up, that he believes in a bottom-heavy business. And that means that the decisions don't come from him. Most of the decisions come from below him. So I think that's really important. And the other thing he said, which I think we all need to remember because we judge ourselves so harshly, remember, it's okay to be yourself. I think, one of the things that we keep thinking is we have to be somebody else. And his point is he became successful because he was who he was, with his emotion, with his sense of fun, with his passions, with his dyslexia, even though he covered up most of it. He just is who he is. And I'm certain a lot of people didn't take him seriously. And I'm certain an awful lot of people do today. He said, take a chance. It's the best way to test yourself. Have fun and push your boundaries. Now, not all of his decisions have worked out for him. But, the ones that he is truly passionate about, he just continues, until he finds the answer. He said, once a change maker, always a change maker. Have fun. Once a change maker, always a change maker. But only a few swim against the tide. I had somebody ask me that in a management course I was doing. I just want to tell you that. I was on a management course, one of those retreat things where they have you away for 4 days and do all sorts of mad things with you. And I remember the guy running it saying to me, Sal, have you ever considered going with the flow? And I said, what? And he said, you constantly swim upstream. Said, if everybody is swimming this way, you are constantly swimming this way. And I said, well, I like to, that's the easy way, doesn't make it the best way. So I like to see the other angle, if you like. And he said, it would be a lot easier for you to swim with go with the flow. I said, yeah, but easier isn't necessarily the best way. And he said, which is what makes you who you are. And I said, yep, I think so. By the way, did you know, I'm going to add another fact in here, a factoid that I found out. Do you know that of the 200 companies he owns, Branson is not he's not a director of any of them. I think I got that right. Hang on a second, let me double check that. He's chairman. I got this here somewhere. Anyway, I think I got that right. He is chairman of them all, but he is not a director of them. In other words, he lets each of his companies run their own thing. He's there to advise them and show them, give them ideas and tell them, solutions that he can think of, but he actually doesn't direct them. Don't you think that's incredible? You know how empowering that is for the people? He knows his talent. His talent is he's a visionary. Hi, Kerry. He's a visionary. And so he knows that, right? He wants to concentrate on having vision. He lets the business people that he brings in, run the businesses. He doesn't want to run the businesses. He wants to have the vision for them. He said the balloons only have one life. And the only way of finding out whether they work is to attempt to fly around the world. And he was, I believe, the first one to cross the Pacific Ocean in a balloon. I think I'm correct in that. Can you imagine doing that? That's a long way, people. And he says, right now, I'm just delighted to be alive and to have a nice long bath. Now, for somebody with as much energy and get up and go in him as Richard Branson has, I don't know about you, but I just don't see that man relaxing in a bath. But that's what he does. So I think that's wonderful. He also said this, and I think that's worth listening to as well. I think it's quite great to set yourself a big challenge. And then you've got another reason for keeping fit. In other words, the reason that he keeps fit is not because it's the right thing to do. It's because it allows him to tackle the next challenge. So the reason that we're all doing the virtual walking thing is, to support each other, yes, for sure, but also to be more fit in our bodies, and therefore our brains will be more fit. And, our lives hopefully will end up being that much more valuable to us. Branson also said, my general attitude to life is to enjoy every minute of every day. I never do anything with a feeling of, oh God, I've got to do this today. So you understand his attitude, right? His attitude is one of, I'm going to make it a good day. Whatever's going on, I'm going to make it a good day. I'm not going to spend my time complaining about, whatever. I'm just going to make it a great day. And I think that's wonderful. He also said ridiculous yachts and private planes and big limousines won't make people enjoy life more. And it sends out a terrible message to the people who work for them. It would be so much better if the money was spent in Africa. And it's about getting a balance. Wow. I'm going to read that again. Ridiculous yachts and private planes and big limousines won't make people enjoy life more. And it sends a terrible message to people who work for them. It would be so much better if the money was spent in Africa. It's about getting a balance. Do you know what car he drives, by the way, out of choice? I thought that was interesting. Yeah, Beth's actually going to go with the flow for a while. Good for you. I think I read somewhere, by the way, he's an avid collector of cars, vintage cars. And I believe that his car of choice, isn't a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever. It's a Land Rover. Now, I'm not sure if it's one of the old Land Rovers or one of the fancy ones. Probably a fancy one, but it's just like, he could afford Lamborghinis and Ferraris all over the place, but it's not what he wants. And I really like that. He sounds to me on many levels a very down-to-earth person. And obviously, from your own personal point of view, the principal challenge is a personal challenge. All right, your principles, what you stand for, is a challenge that you set yourself every day. The fact that I set a personal challenge to say please and thank you, is I don't have to do it. It's something that I choose and challenge myself to do. About family, he said, my mother was determined to make us independent. I was 4 years old. She stopped the car a few miles from our house and made me find my own way home across the fields. I got hopelessly lost. All right, so Beth is saying, I had the shelves down perfect at work, and then my manager threw something on the shelf that didn't go there. Inside, I was seeing myself throwing up my arms and getting angry. Yes, I told her it was perfect till you came along. And I laughed and she laughed. She knows me well. Yes. This is the whole thing, Beth, that those of us that struggle with perfection, OCD type perfection, somebody puts something in slightly the wrong place, it ruins our day. And, I just want to tell you, there is a recovery from that. And the reason I know that is because Yvonne, my friend and tenant downstairs, Yvonne was seriously OCD when I first met her. And, it's amazing today. I crack up because she has learned that, it's okay. It's not the end of the world anymore. It just is what it is. And, the other thing that he said about family was, I've been very lucky. I come from a very close family. And, not all of us have that. And so, that I believe, and I really recommend to people, if you don't come from a close family, build your own, right? Build a close family with people that you meet. And, we don't get to choose our family, but we do get to choose the people that are called our friends. And so from that point of view, you never need to be without family if you choose your friends well. Yes. You see, Beth, and that's the whole thing. Beth is saying, I can still be me and that's okay. She still accepts me. It's so amazing being myself. I want to tell you, one of the things I've always said, Beth, to Yvonne is how much I value her attention to detail and that OCD side of her. Because I literally, I'm not joking, Beth, you can probably imagine me. I actually will be in a meeting with somebody and they'll ask me a question and really I have no knowledge of what the answer is because that's not important to me. But I do know somebody in my life that knows that answer. And I'll say, hold on a second. And I will text Yvonne. And the person, I've had it happen a couple of times. What are you doing? I said, I'm going to text the person who will know. But it's about you. I said, yeah, but I don't keep that information in my head. I have somebody who sucks up information like that, like a sponge, and also, will recall it in a heartbeat. Why would I bother? And, it's so funny because I literally texted her and it was something like, on what day did I get the, let's say the mortgage to my house or whatever. And I'm not joking. Without missing a beat, she will text back and say, on February the 28th, at this time. And I go, thank you. And I'll look and she says February the 28th in this year, whatever year it was. You see, because she has that mind. And Beth, I want to tell you, that mind of yours and that ability to be clear on detail is a gift to any manager. And especially because you've learned to do things at a speed where it doesn't hold everybody else up. So who wouldn't want you on the team? I definitely want you as a manager on my company. So Richard Branson said, my definition of success: the more you're actively and practically engaged, the more successful you will feel. The more you are actively and practically engaged, the more successful you will feel. Makes sense? And by the way, I spend, as I think a lot of you know, I spend a lot of time mentoring other people. And I don't mind telling you that every time one of those people is successful in whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, I actually smile inside, because nobody will be able to take that away from me, that I was part of that. All right. I mean, whether I get credit for it or not is not the point. The point is, I know inside my heart that somewhere along the line, I was part of that. And I was mentored to, and, and I've got a number of people in my life that, I keep in touch with, and they keep saying, I can still hear you talking to me, Sal. And I say, good, I'm pleased to hear that. He also said, you don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over. All right? You have to be prepared to fail to succeed. And, for those of you who know that I've taken on learning 3 new software programs this year, I've got to learn to fail at it to be able to succeed at it and get fast at it. So, to me, I am well aware of that. I don't have an issue with that. The other thing with me, as some of you know, is I don't quit very easily. In other words, I'll be busy trying to overcome an obstacle on this, and I might not have time to deal with it today, but the next time I sit down to focus, I could spend 12 hours trying to get over that learning curve. And it's just the way that I am. And I will do 12 hours. And if I need to get on with the rest of my life, I'll get on with my rest of my life. And the next time I come back, I will have found a lot of ways that I had it wrong the first time. So then I try a lot of other ways until I get it right the second. I don't learn. I don't know about the rest of you. I don't learn by reading. I sometimes can learn by seeing, but normally it's just a stepping stone learn. I actually learn most by doing, and I don't know about the rest of you, but, and I've, made a lot of mistakes that way, but I've also, once I've got it, I've really got it, because I've done it. I know how to do it. I've always said everything's easy to do once you know how to do it, right? So do any of you have any particular goals that you're trying for this week or this year? And while you're feeding that back to me, Branson also said, do not be embarrassed by your failures. Learn from them and start again. Now, I want to tell you that who was the billionaire who went in a hot air balloon and was never heard from again? Fawcett, or was it Fawcett? Why do I think that was his name? But, he was somebody that went up in a hot air balloon and never came. Well, he came down, but nobody knows where. They never found out what happened to him. So there was somebody who was prepared to fail, and knowing that it could mean his life. But, when you've done everything in the world, I guess, it's a bit like all the flights. Apparently, I was reading about Branson that all the flights that he does, these flights where they lose the pull of gravity. He's up there with the people who paid 100,000 to be there. Fawcett, thank you very much, Jody. I had a feeling his name was Fawcett. Yeah. But apparently, when they send those planes up, he's there with them, having a ball. He loves it. He enjoys the success things. He also said this, and I think, this is really wise. So think about it for a second. Chance favors the prepared mind. The more you practice, the luckier you become. Does that make sense to everybody? The more, that things don't happen easily to people, anybody, but the more you practice something, the more experienced you become. The more experienced you become, the more chances you will recognize. And, the more things you will know, this is good for me or not good for me. And so basically, it's an ever increasing circle. So whatever goals you're working on this year, do you understand? The most important thing that I could do to improve my health was to get outside the door and start walking, or to set myself a daily goal. How many steps do I want to take? And how I do it isn't important, but I do want to get outside in the fresh air at least 3 times a week, And I'm trying to do, a lot more. I'm low on it this week because of the weather, but I am definitely, well aware that I have done well on the number of steps that I will take this week. Jody's saying her goals are health related, continuing to lose weight and regain some strength. Absolutely. And, in doing both those, Jody, who knows how much of that fluid you are going to displace. And that is what is so important for you. All right, now this is an incredible, wise comment, I think. Branson said, life is a hell of a lot more fun if you say yes rather than no. All right, when people say, can you do that? You go, yep. I'm not quite sure how, but I'm pretty sure I can. It's a lot more fun that way. And so, all the things that I challenge myself with, you all know that I have been beating up with myself because it's taken me so long to downsize my life. And what surprised me? What really has surprised me is when I walk into my garage to see how many boxes of stuff I have packed up. It actually is amazing when I think that, first of all, how few, really, considering what was in the house, how few I've packed up. But also, I know that when I go to empty the house, half of what's in those boxes is going to get thrown out anyway. In other words, there are certain boxes I'm just going to go, if I haven't got a workshop, what am I going to do with all my screws, bits of wood, You understand? It's like all that's going to get chucked. If I haven't got this, then I won't need any of these things. So, either I have a giant garage sale, which I'm not good at, or I just give it to my neighbor, So, I look at it that way. And he said, for a successful entrepreneur, it can mean extreme wealth. But with extreme wealth comes extreme responsibility. And the responsibility for me is to invest in creating new businesses, create jobs, employ people, and put money aside to tackle issues where we can make a difference. How about that? Right? He runs his businesses so he can put money aside and make a difference in the world. That's his goal. Right? He wants to make money at them, but why? Because he wants to continue to make a difference in the world. I think that's pretty awesome. Yeah, Beth saying, I say no a lot if I fear something, but now I say no inside my head, but say yes out loud. So I'm forced to do what I fear. Wow, that's a major step, Beth. But still remember to be careful, right? That you don't have to say yes to everything if you think it's risky for you. or your family or whatever. And be careful of the box cutter, for example. You know, slowing that motion down probably will help you. So how many of you agree that being extremely successful also gives you extreme responsibility to be used in the right way? And there's so many very successful people who do not use their wealth in the right way. They merely use it for self-aggrandizement. They don't use it for the betterment of others. They use it just to show how rich they are. And I won't mention too many names on that one, but I think you get the idea. And I always think about, Beth saying my box cutter name is Bertha. I made her my friend. Friends don't hurt friends. I accidentally hurt a friend once. So what Branson also said was, well, I think there's a very thin dividing line between success and failure. And I think if you start a business without financial backing, you're likely to go the wrong side of that dividing line. Yeah, it's a really good idea. You know, the reason most businesses fail is they don't have enough startup capital. You know, most businesses will fail within the first 5 years. Most of them actually fail within the first 2, just so that you know. And the reason is because there isn't enough working capital to keep it going for it to be successful. And I think that's a really interesting statistic. Right, he said about turning your ideas into reality. When you're first thinking through an idea, it's important not to get bogged down in the complexity. Thinking simply and clearly is hard to do. Right? Have a clear vision of what you want to do. Don't get caught up in all the little bits and pieces. This is what I'd like to do. I have set a goal to lose 5 pounds. Actually, I lie. To lose 7 pounds by the end of January. That is my hope. Now, we are already at the 11th, and I've only lost 1. But that is my goal, right? That's what I'm aiming for. Now, if I don't lose it all, it means I haven't done enough to lose that much. And therefore, I will know to adjust for the next goal. Do you understand? This is like, it isn't about failing. It's about, this is what I believe I need to do to lose, this amount of weight by the end of January. Actually, no, it was by February the 14th, because my goal was to do it by Valentine's Day. So, that's my goal. And if I've got doing the right things, then the chances are I probably will achieve that. And we'll see how I do. I know that I've walked as far as I thought I was going to, and I will do better than that. He also said, if you don't have time for the small things, you won't have time for the big ones. Hang on one second. I just wanted to go and get my day timer, because what I wanted to remind you all is that I've got this big mind map of what I want to achieve, and I keep adding to it. These are the notes about what I wanted to achieve in January. And this is what the first week of January looked like for me. We're now into the second week. And these are the things I have here. But the interesting thing is, that the only things I put into here are things that I need to be working on for sure this week. It's, it's not the dreams. It's like, I really need to do this. So you can see that I actually achieved quite a lot that first week. I haven't got as many things that I've crossed out this week, but I still have done the important things because those are the things that I write in here. And so what I wanted to show you was that we know we are not even in the middle of January, and I've already got 2 pages. I always think of Beth when I do this, right? I've already got 2 pages worth of things that I'm working on. So what I did, Beth, is I just added another page because it's pretty sure that I am going to have a lot more things on my list. And every part of it is one more step. And sometimes you don't realize how many steps it takes to do one thing. And I'm trying to sort of keep track of the main parts, but I don't want to lose the good ideas that come on how I might achieve that. So don't be afraid to keep notes. Just what I heard you, Beth, when you said if you keep a list, you end up with overload. I found out that having this list here at the main goals for January, but keeping it, this is what I actually do, Beth, just so that you can see. I actually keep it hidden. It's in there, but I keep it hidden. And I look at it maybe twice a week. Makes sense? I don't want to lose those things because they're important. And when I've got holes like this week, I've got some holes in there. I've got more things I can be adding. So I go back and look and say, what's the next most important thing? What Richard Branson also said was communication. The thing humans forgot when we invented words. The things human beings forgot when we invented words. How many of you agree that, in this digital age, we have lost the art of communication to such a large degree? When did you last pick up the phone and phone somebody? I'm really bad. I'll send them a quick email rather than phone them. And how many of you have noticed you're not emailing people as much? Now I'll send them a quick note on Messenger or to their phone. We're not emailing anymore either. Now the communication has come down to, 120 characters, or whatever. It's like our communication has ceased to be as in-depth. And the reason I say that is I had an incredible chat with Benji this week, for example. And Benji was busy working on a new plan that he wants to do. And we spent 2 hours talking about it. 2 hours, which for Benji is unheard of. Benji doesn't have that much time ever. But, he did because he needed to brainstorm some stuff that was important to him. And so it was amazing how much time. Yes, Beth. This is I think this is going to be your learning of the year, Beth. Beth is saying, I think I already know what my husband is going to say, and I'm trying to focus on his words. It's really hard because I've been doing it for so long. Yes, you've been presuming you know what he's going to say for so long, and you probably cut him off and finished the sentence for him, right? And you're not the only one, all right? You're not the only one. And so yeah, I know. And you probably do it to your daughter as well, because she doesn't come up with the stuff fast enough for you. So you just hurry it along. I think one of the most difficult things I had, Beth, I want to tell you an experience that I had as a professional speaker. Quite often, somebody would ask me a question from the audience, and that person would be overcome by a little bit of nervousness or whatever because they were talking in front of a lot of people and they weren't used to that. And you will be amazed how many people would try and finish the sentence for the person who was trying to tell me something. And all the time, Beth, I used to look at them and go, do you know something? You must have become a ventriloquist because I asked you a question and a lady over there is answering. Did you throw your voice all the way over there? And of course, the audience would laugh and I'd go, and so to the person over there that's answering on your behalf, how on earth do you know what this person is trying to tell me? You are presuming that you know. And she is not doing it fast enough for you, and that is why you're interrupting her and trying to hurry it along. I know it comes with good intent, but the intent is yours. Now, I'm going to wait until this person tells me what she's trying to tell me, because that's called being polite. And it tells this person that I value them. Yeah, and Beth, I love your honesty on that. Beth is saying, yep, she does that. And if he cuts off my words, there's hell to pay. I love, Beth, I think of all the things I value in you with tears in my eyes. It is your honesty. In terms of, we'll be talking tonight a bit more about emotional intelligence, but in terms of being self-aware, you do a really great job. All right? Right. So Trina's saying, I agree. I no longer have a house phone. We all have mobiles, and I don't make as many calls. Yep. Communication as we know it has changed, and I'm not sure that it's better. Branson also said, if you spot an opportunity and you're really excited by it, throw yourself into it with everything you've got. I think the most important thing is to find something you're passionate about. How many of you know I am passionate about doing DearMamaSal and helping people? It's like, you don't have to guess that I'm here every week, right? You know I'm not making a whole stack of money out of it, so it must be a passion. So to me, it's like, you understand, you can tell what people are passionate about because they do it. I really cannot tell you how many people have said to me, well, why do you keep doing it if you're not making money? And I said, because it's important work. And I cannot tell you that there is no money in the world that pays you for someone writing to you and saying, thank you for what you said. It made such a difference in my life. And it's not like, whoa, good for me. It's about, I can't do it on my own. It's all of you guys here with me, that I know we make a difference in the world. And that's good enough reason for me to be doing it. And so to me, it's a passion. It's a, I think Jody said it one day, it's an unpaid hobby. Yeah, but yeah, it costs me a bit because hobbies do that. But, it's like, I have no wish to stop it as long as we continue to help people. Branson said, if you're hurt, lick your wound and get up again. If you've given it your absolute best, it's time to move forward. All right, so don't expect everything to work out. Not everything does. Education, he said, does not take place in stuffy classrooms and university buildings. It can happen everywhere and every day to every person. I so believe that. I literally sat with a commander in the South African Navy. And they had a problem, and they actually heard about the work that I did, and they called me to see if I could help them fix it. And I went and I did fix it in half an hour or so. It was, I just didn't have their rules, and it was amazing because I got to the bottom of the problem in a heartbeat. And afterwards, I was sitting in the mess room with the commander and a few of the other people with a lot of, scrambled egg on their shoulders. And he said to me, "Where did you get your degree in psychology?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, you obviously understand the human psyche really well. So I just wondered, where did you get your degree? Did you get it here in Africa, or did you get it back in England?" I said, I never got a degree. I wasn't allowed to. He said, "Where on earth did you learn to do what you do?" And I said, "Life taught me a lot, and I read a lot." Do you understand? It's like, just because I wasn't allowed to go to university doesn't mean that I didn't give myself the education I wanted, even if I don't have it on paper. So I agree with Branson 100%. Education does not take place in stuffy classrooms or university buildings. It can happen every day, everywhere. I study people. By the way, I've noticed with Yvonne, she didn't have, a high education level, but boy, has her education level shifted with the advent of Google. You know what I mean? Because Yvonne is a curious person. So any word that comes up she doesn't understand, or anything she reads about she doesn't understand, she Googles it. How many of you have noticed that your world knowledge or your knowledge of anything has improved since you had Google? And, I think somewhere along the line, we need to give them credit for it. He said, "I was dyslexic. I had no understanding of schoolwork whatsoever. I certainly would have failed IQ tests. And it was one of the reasons I left school when I was 15 years old. If I'm not interested in something, I don't grasp it." Have any of you watched children that really don't do well in school and then find something that they love and do extremely well, even though that thing that they got interested in requires study? I saw that happen to a young person who basically was flunking out of school, went to special school, managed to do quite well in special school, but then found something that he was really interested in and aced it. Went to the top of the tree on it. And it required a lot of studying, but the difference was he was interested in that. He wanted to shine in that area. Yes, good point, Trina. Trina's saying, especially on health issues. I think my doctor was pretty shocked how much education you guys had given me in the short time between my previous visit and the one I did this week. Because he was saying, "Well, what we're going to need you to do is," I said, "Yeah, I'm already doing that." And then he said, "Well, the other thing is you might want to consider," "Yep, I'm already doing that." And he kept going, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "But we haven't trained you yet." I said, "No, but I got viewers." And he just rolled his eyes and said, "Of course, yeah." "You've got viewers, and your viewers are your education." And I said, "Yep." Because a lot of them have diabetes and a lot of them have experience of diabetes. And they seem to know what they're talking about. And I really want to thank you again with tears in my eyes. I really want to thank you guys, because between Trina sending me articles or whatever, between Jody giving me input on stuff, Yvonne giving me input on stuff, all of you doing, and Beth with, with her meal prepping and everything. Do you understand? You've each given me a little brick in my support wall that I can lean against. I go, well, I know who I can ask about this. And so this is, I hate to say it's payback, but it's incredibly kind of you. And I am so appreciative, because I looked so special when I went in there. And he was saying, "Well, Sal, you're going to need to cut your carbs." And I go, "Yeah, well, I've got them down below 50%. He goes, "What?" I said, "Well, I've got the average down below 50%. And I said, "I'm doing really well until about midnight. About midnight, I seem to lose it for some reason. But now I'm making a plan around that. I'm saving my sweeter thing choices for later in the day so that I compensate that. And it's really funny. But how did I do yesterday? Let me have a look here. I mean, this is my challenge every day, is how do I keep it below 50%? And I'm just going to look yesterday. Any minute now, just wait for it to reset for yesterday. 44% carbs. So, and I go anything under 50, I'm happy. Well, Jody, I don't know whether my success is wonderful to see. I think because I'm not sure I've been successful yet. But what I do know is that I'm giving it my best shot, and nobody can ask more from me than that. And that is what I'm doing. I'm saying, okay, fine. If I believe, and funny enough, my doctor said to me, so you're watching your carbs rather than your calories. And I said, yep. I just work. I don't worry about what I'm eating. I allow myself to eat anything I like, but I just eat a whole lot less of it. But I said, I constantly monitor what are my carbs up to. So, if I've decided, okay, I want to have a fruit, a crepe with apples in it. Apples are sweet, so I know that will be a problem. And the crepe's a crepe, but I make my crepes now half oat flour, half regular flour. You understand? I'm doing all sorts of little tricks to help myself because I still want to have that fruit. There's something about a crepe with apple in it that's really tasty. And then apparently hi there, Linda. Apparently the cream isn't bad. Who knew? But my biggest really this week was, who knew that prunes were so bad for you? I cannot believe that. It was just like, I thought that was a no-brainer, that had to be good for you, because prunes are good for you. You grow up knowing that. Yeah, well, apparently not so much. Branson also said happiness is the success ingredient for a successful business, a secret ingredient for a successful business. If you have a happy company, you will be invincible. I certainly believe that. Building a business is not rocket science. It's about having a great idea and seeing it through with integrity. Yeah, love it. So what he also said, learn from failure. If you're an entrepreneur and your first venture wasn't a success, welcome to the club. Don't you think that's, and that's really what people don't realize. Most successful people have failed their way to success, right? It's like they failed enough times to find out what goes wrong and make it go right. It's really quite simple. So and look how many times I quit cigarettes. I think that from the age of 20, I tried every single mechanism that ever came out to quit cigarettes from the age of 20. I didn't quit until I was 63. No, what am I now? I'm only 71 now, right? Okay, so but you understand what I'm saying. It took me a lifetime to find the combination that worked for me. But I really kept going back and trying to quit. So I am really aware of the fact that, quitting doesn't mean that you're going to get it right the first time. Now, the other thing that he said, and I totally agree with him, cover the downside. I think one of the talents that I have, although some people see it as a negative, is I am what they call a risk manager. When I look at things, I go, what could go wrong, and I try and make sure I got those things covered. In other words, cover the downside. Because if I can work out, if plan A doesn't work, I've got a plan B and C ready, then I don't get too much of a shock if plan A doesn't work. Does that make sense to anybody but me? And the funny thing is, I've taught it to everyone that I've ever mentored, which is never rely on plan A. Plan A very rarely works. Therefore, make sure you've got a plan B and C ready. And you know, when you spend time dreaming, when you're driving and doing whatever, work on plan D and E just in case you need them, because there's an awful lot of knowledge in working out those plans, those backup plans, that will help you do a better plan A next time. Now listen to this. How many of you would love a boss that thought this way? Your company should act as a springboard for ambitious employees, not as a set of shackles. Yeah, I totally agree. In my time of being a manager, I really looked for people with talent that didn't know they had it. You know, and they'd fight me and say, but I'm not trained to do this. I said, yeah, I can train you. That's the easy bit. Hi, Nasha, no problem. You know, I can train you. That's the easy bit. And they go, but I don't know how to do this. I said, I know, I'm going to teach you. But why pick on me? And I said, I pick on you because I believe that you have the talent to do this. I don't want you to do this because I think you're going to fail. I've been watching you for a long time. I love the way you think. I love the way that, you know, that you're prepared to challenge on certain things. I love what you do. So do me a favor. I'll teach you what I can, and what I can't teach you, we'll find somebody who can. And you'd be amazed how many people used to fight me on that one. And yet they'd come back to me later and go, I can't believe you trusted me. And I go, well, I wasn't wrong. You've got to take risks, Branson said. If you're going to succeed, I would much rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Yep, I've been guilty of that one, that's for sure. And entrepreneurship is about turning what excites you in life into capital, so that you can do more of it and move forward with it. I'm not sure if that was his quote, but if it was, Linda is saying, look after your employees and they will look after your company. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he said that from everything. Let's see whether it comes up on his famous quotes, all right? He said, a business has to be involving. It has to be fun, and it has to exercise your creative instincts. And I love this one because in this is great honesty. He said, I believe in a benevolent dictatorship, provided that I'm the dictator. I used to say that to people as well, which is, I believe in teamwork as long as I'm leading the team. You see, it's like, yeah, I believe in teamwork. But the other part of me is I'm a leader. I know that. I always have been. So my trick is to build a team of people that love to be part of a team, and they don't mind that I'm the leader. How many of you can see the humor in that? But Branson also said, train people well enough so they can leave, treat them well enough so they don't want to. I've always said, if I do DearMamaSal correctly, there will be so many people who will carry on for me after I've gone. Well, Nyasha says, I like people who see potential in anyone. To me, they are wonderful. Well, that's because not many people have seen your potential, Nyasha. Not many people have believed that you can. So many people have looked at you and seen that you can't. And I go, that is so sad to me. It's like I've always said to people, don't tell me what you can't do. I'm not interested in what you can't do. We've all got that problem, all right? Tell me what you can do. Tell me what you want to do. And that to me is much more exciting. I don't care, Nyasha, whether you end up only doing 5 miles in the next year. I do know that if you do 5 miles, you will feel so much better about yourself. All right? That you got back on that elliptical, or that you're doing the arm rolls. Jody, how are you doing on those arm rolls? Have you hit a mile yet? It's like, it's not about the number as much as you're doing it. You're doing something and you're adding to your goal. You just hit the 1 mile mark. Well done, Jody. 1 mile of doing this. Do you know how many arm rolls that is? I mean, that's a lot of arm rolls, Jody. And you must surely be building up some muscle strength by doing that. All right. And I'm so proud of you. So I think I'm at 25 miles now of walking to your 1 mile of arm rolls. Who did the biggest stretch? I would say Jody. When I say the biggest stretch, because, yeah, well done, Jody, right? She could have just sat there and not done anything, and that would have been just fine. She could have just supported me with words. All right? Yeah, and Jody being Jody said we both did, right? Yes, and but what you understand what I'm saying, Jody? My 25 miles is not better than your 1 mile. We both challenged ourselves to do something. And that is what is so difficult for people to understand. When we keep trying to compare ourselves to other people, we basically stop ourselves from doing things because we're never going to be that good. Imagine if I had waited until I was good at being a speaker before I did it, right? I would not be speaking. Or if I'd waited until I understood YouTube until I started it. Yeah, the way I understood YouTube is to mess it up enough times. All right, so Nyasha said, would you believe, Mama Sal, I never took the time to search for any fitness app. I looked for the elliptical workout on an app store, and I've used it ever since. Told ya, right? You see, somewhere we sparked some interest in you, right? And now look what you're going to do with it. I'm really interested to hear how you do with your elliptical. Don't overdo it. But I believe, and you might want to talk to your doctor next time you're there, Nyasha, about, will the pain in your feet improve as the circulation does? Because by using your elliptical, your circulation is going to improve. Well, Linda's downloaded the app. That's one step. Linda, that is one step in the right direction, right? The fact you've downloaded the app says you have a willingness to do something. Yeah. And the good news is that program actually gives you a badge for doing that. It gives you a technical badge for actually being able to download the app. I was quite surprised when they gave me that. I like the way it gives you little badges along. By the way, it's going to ask you to upgrade. Don't bother. Just manually put in your information after a while. It gives you all the bells and whistles to start with, and then it says, now I want you to upgrade. How can you fail, Linda? You're in competition with yourself. The only person you're going to let down is you. But on the other hand, I make a point of checking in to see how everybody's doing every couple of days. And I'm pretty sure that Jody does because she keeps leaving me a message, So, it's really interesting. And what I love is I'm learning things about Trinidad. I mean, Bagatelle Road. Who knew? And it's long. And what about, did you know that Spruce Street in Manchester, New Hampshire goes on forever? Right. And Niesh is saying this. Niesh is saying, and that's what my mom does, exactly. She keeps comparing me to others, and that's what gets me angry. That's why I never used to do anything before. But now I'm happy. I'm doing things for me. You bet. You bet. And I'm going to help you. I mean, we are all going to help you prove to yourself you are far more capable than you give yourself credit for. You just need a reason to do it. And you're not waiting for your mom. Don't wait for your mom to approve of what you're doing. Right? Because she may never do that. But we will certainly be very happy to hear of your progress. But as I said, if you can, get to a doctor and check with the doctor, how much exercise is good for you. Just because I know you've got health issues, and we don't want to be pushing you in a direction that's not healthy for you. Now, Branson also says you can't do good business with a bad person. Find the right people to work with you, and you can't go wrong. Don't think what's the cheapest way to do it or the fanciest way to do it. Think about what's the most amazing way to do it. I've been actually quite stunned at all the things I've learned just by downsizing at my speed, not everybody else's. And it's getting done. It's just taking longer because I want to do it at my speed, not somebody else's. And I'm nearly there. And, I know that when I get to the other side, whenever I get what I'm going to go next, that I will unpack at my speed, not everybody else's. And I'm very seriously thinking about the fact that I'm going to get it to the stage where it can go on show. And when it sells, I think I'm just going to call a company in and say, come pack me up. I don't want to pack up anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? Come pack it up for me. Because I know most of it's done. And it'll still probably cost me quite a bit of money, but I think that'll be money well spent by then. I don't want the stress of that and the sadness of it or whatever. And there's part of me that goes, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to say, do me a favor, pack it up and move it to my new place. I'm going on a cruise while all that goes on. Even better if I can say and just, set it all up. So when I come home, I have a new home. So you see, I like to think what would make this the least stress possible. So Branson said, I've seen life as one long learning process. And if I see, if I fly on somebody else's airline and find the experience is not a pleasant one, which it wasn't 21 years ago, then I think, well, maybe I can create the kind of airline that I'd like to fly on. Well, it's interesting. Linda says some days she has a difficulty making a basic decision, like what color of nail polish should she put on. Is there an app for that? Yeah. But there is, you see, today. One of the things that I do, Linda, I don't know if you know that, and unfortunately I can't do it here, but when you've got different eyeshadow colors and things, I'll actually put the palette up against me looking out so I can see this is what I'm wearing. This is the palette, what blends best with it. It's a really interesting way to do it. And I go, okay, fine, that goes, yep. And before I get it on my eyes, I want to see does it work? And it's quite simple. He said, business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. All right. So don't think, it's amazing. I look at it and I go, I've been on YouTube for 6 years. And I'm still telling people, get onto YouTube if that's what you want to do. And by the way, know that you're going to find out a lot about yourselves, because most people think that YouTube is easy and then find out how much hard work it is. And most people are not prepared to do the work. And the work, funnily enough, is not the recording of stuff. The work is the editing and doing all that. And so, to me, it's like, go ahead, be jealous of the YouTubers that make money, or go, wow, I know I'd never have the discipline to do what they do. And, that's what I really say to people is, I know a lot of very successful YouTubers, and they have to eat, sleep, drink YouTube to be successful. But they also need to balance out their lives so they can do that in a way that is not overpowering. And so I don't know what your goals are for this week. Let's hear that. Jody, what are your goals for this week? Nyasha, what about you, your goals? Linda, what goals do you have for this week? And Carrie, if you're still there, what goals do you have? I must admit, my number one goal is to finish clearing out my dining room. I still have, oops, that wasn't good. I don't know what happened there. But you see, I've still got all this stuff in my dining room. But I can tell you that my living room is done. Where am I plugged in here? Do you want to have a look at my living room? When I say it is done, I mean, I just have to keep the dust off it now, and then it's done. My dining room is nearly done. Literally will be done this week. My bedroom is three quarters done, maybe more than 3/4. The reason it's not done is because I've got a corner where I'm doing all the shredding, and that's a mess. And I've got to either tidy it up or box it up and later send all the stuff for shredding, which I'm beginning to think might be the way to do it. But I don't know about the rest of you. I don't like to shred things until I've had a chance to look at them. How many of you agree with me? It's like you never know what's in there that you don't realize until too late. So I like to, even though that stuff's been there for a long time, I want to make sure I look at it before I shred it. So what I might do is, get a couple of bins ready and just go through it and decide, okay, this can be shredded. All right, so Jody's looking to make it to her doctor's appointment on Monday and then finish organizing the Christmas things that we can put away now. Good. All right, that's a doable goal. Linda's saying to get back onto eBay shop. You slacked off over the Christmas and New Year. I love the fact that you do that. I really do. I'm trying I really would love to be able to be successful at that in some way. I just don't ever think that my stuff is worth advertising. That's the interesting thing, Linda. So it's an ego thing with me, or a mentality block, right? It's just like I go, where do you get the stuff? I've got a house full of stuff, that maybe that's what I learned to do, is to sell it. All right, so Nyasha's saying, I would like to continue with the exercise on the elliptical daily. It's being good so far. But I must admit, though, I might get fed up and quit. So I hope not to. All right, so here's the thing. Set yourself an easy goal, Nyasha. That would be my recommendation. Do you want my input on that? First of all, sorry, I don't want to presume that you want my input. I think you've heard me talk about my 10-minute challenges. If I'm beginning to get bored, I say to myself, I don't have to do the whole block. Just let me go out for 10 minutes, 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. So what I would do on an elliptical, because that's, that can be quite hard work. I would see, can I make it to 3 minutes? And why would I pick 3 minutes? Because most tunes are about 3 minutes long. So I would literally put on my earphones and start my favorite music and then step my way to my favorite music and see if I can make it through a whole song. All right? Literally just go, can I make it? Or let's say that you're not strong enough to make it for the whole 3 minutes. How far can I get into this song? You know, set the timer up, see how you do. I can do 1.5 minutes. The next day I go, okay, my only goal is to beat 1.5 minutes. And I'll keep going every day until I can beat the 1.5. And then maybe I get it to 2. Then I will go, okay, my next goal is to beat 2 minutes. And then I'll make it to the whole 3 minutes. Yay. Guess what? I now start the second song. Am I making sense to you, Nyasha? Now, for example, let me tell you why that works, Nyasha. Quite often I will say, I'm going out for a walk. I'm just going down to the end of the block and back because that's my 10-minute walk. 5 minutes out, turn around, 5 minutes back. And quite often I have to text and say, hey, I'm feeling good. I'm going to go right the way around the block. You know, I actually go out for 5 minutes, but I end up 15. All right, Linda's saying, I want a family holiday this year, probably the last as a family. So I need to raise some extra money. Good idea. That's a lovely goal. Where would you like to take everybody? Good, Nyasha. So see if you can make it through a song, all right? And then literally I would have a playlist because after a while, you're going to be able to get through the first song because you know it so well and you know the rhythm so well. And then I would make one slow song, one faster song, you know, and I'd start building up a playlist of things that you can do. Because I think that's really makes it more interesting. I know if I can get outside the door, I've got 10 minutes, no problem at all. And probably got a full 15. What amazes me, it takes me 10 minutes to go halfway round, but it only takes me 15 minutes to go all the way round. Well, yeah, you know, Nyasha, let me tell you that I wish I had Brad Pitt, but that's not going to happen either. So you'd love to see Stonehenge. Isn't that in Cornwall? Hang on, let's find out where it is. That's what Google's for, right? Hang on, I'll have the answer for you in a second. Well, more than a second. Wow, it's in Wiltshire. I didn't know that. Huh. I don't know why. I always thought it was in Cornwall. Well, I learned something today. Thank you for the education, Linda. It's in Wiltshire. Yep. Now, how many people are going to go? You're going to plan a family vacation to see a couple of rocks in a circle. Now, my question to you, Linda, is when you get to Stonehenge, will you dance around it? I have one friend of mine, Linda, who is an absolute history buff and war history. And she spends so many of her vacations going to see well-known battle sites in Europe. You know, and you know, when I first saw her doing that, I thought, gosh, that's morbid. But then I realized that was my judgment. All right? That was my judgment. And then I started to get my mind around the fact that she really obviously had a serious interest because she kept doing more. And now I quite look forward to see where she's going next. Do you understand? It's like I needed to change my attitude, not hers, because she knew that she was interested in tracking that history. I've always said the reason, yeah, you're going to dance around, but not naked. Okay, fine. I've always said that I would really love to go visit the South, because there's part of me that wants to see those plantations. There's part of me that wants to see where some of that history came from. I think it's really important. I'm the reason when I was asked what one city in the States would you like to visit, I said New Orleans, because to me that was the center of a lot of history, and I really, and of course the music. So, and I'm not somebody that likes a lot of music, but I do love that sort of New Orleans jazzy type stuff. I really can see myself in a marching band here. Not for long, but I would love to be part of that. Because that's, so to me, it's like, okay, I'd love to go there. I don't really want to go to New York and do all of those things. Yes, exactly, Nyasha. Google Earth is, you can do that in Google Maps now. You can actually get the street view and you can get the little man to drop in. So yes, it's wonderful. I quite agree. And in fact, I have to tell you that I have done that with your walk and with, I do it every now and then with the walk that Lauren's doing, because she's going through forest areas and I want to see what that's like. And then, you can do that on my walk as well. You can see I'm going through, well, actually, I've just come out of the farmlands and I'm about to head in a different direction. But, it is interesting to see. Yes, the street food. Now, of course, that's going to be challenged now with my both being allergic to garlic and now being diabetic, but I'm certain you guys will tell me how to do that. Yes, exactly, Nyasha. But I have the opportunity to go to New Orleans and that was the question, which one city would I like to go to? And I said, I think that one. And so I would rather do it in real time if I have that opportunity, which I do, than do it virtually. It was like I had never been to Disneyland. You cannot believe how pathetic I was in Disneyland. And so it's really important, that. I think it'll be very interesting, Linda, to go to Stonehenge, because you've heard about it for a lifetime. And so there's part of me that totally understands that you would like it. Yeah, Nyasha, but I think it's wonderful that you can do that. That don't you be grateful you live in this day and age. All right? Just be grateful that you live in this day and age. I keep thinking back to what it must have been like for the pioneers. That we are so lucky that we can sort of get an idea of things. And I can see, Jodi's hometown. I think it's really important today. It's like, I can be interested. Like Spruce Street goes on forever. Hi, Nada. We've been doing quotes from Richard Branson today. So if you want to see the replay, if you haven't been listening. So I think the whole thing about Richard Branson is how smart he is about himself, right? Remember that he owns 200 companies and is not a director of any of them. he sees his role as getting the company up and running and then bringing in the right people to run it, right? Why? Because that frees him up to go look for the next thing that makes him excited, or to be in a restaurant and go, the service in this restaurant is terrible. I think I need to start a restaurant. And that's what he'll do. All right. As you heard, or be on an airline and go, this really isn't good service. I want to have an airline that has good service. Or, and so you look at all these things, or the fact that, he bought an island. And by the way, it's not cheap to stay on his island. If you want to stay in his house, which he actually rents out, I think it's like $43,000 a night. But guess how many of the rich and famous are only too happy to pay that? And if you want to be in one of the villas, it's only about $100,000 a night, I think. No, 43,000 a night. Sorry, 43,000 a night for the villa. Oh, I can't remember how much it is to be in one of the villas. It's a lot less. Yes, you see, Linda, this is it. You're grateful for this day and age. I am as well. I'm literally, it's like we'll be talking. I'm grateful for the fact that Jody is sitting in New Hampshire and helping me, the way that she does. I'm grateful that you guys are there, and you can go to Google and look up information. I'm glad we can all do that. I just feel that we are so incredibly blessed. You know what I mean? I literally thought I had a landscaper lined up to do the outside of my house, ready to sell it. And I found out he's decided to go and get a different job. And I literally went, okay, fine, who do I know? And I just put out, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just putting out the word to my friends, who do you know that's in the business? Because some of my friends out there know somebody, you know what I mean? It's just so much easier today. Don't have to write a letter. It's like, I am so grateful. It's so exciting and so interesting. And so that's what I would say to you. Get interested in life again. All right. Nyasha, you didn't realize that you could read any book that you want to, or just about take any course that you want to. All right. And it's available for free if you know where to look. And so, I look at it and go, isn't that amazing? Or you can download a book for a couple of bucks and read it. Or you can take a university course if you want to, without any problem at all. I think to be grateful for what we have is something wonderful. And I want to tell you something, that 20 years from now, this will look like so archaic. Free courses. What's it called? It's called Khan University. Khan Academy or Khan University. Hang on a second. It's either Khan University or Khan Academy. But you'll find, just literally type into Google. Oh yeah, really? I want to tell you the amount of stuff that is available. The whole thing that Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and the rest of those guys said was, if we do this right, we can educate the world. As long as we can get a smartphone into the hands of everybody and give them the ability to get a signal, we can educate the world for free. And I think that was an incredible decision that they made. Oh, it's Khan Academy. Thank you very much, Nyasha. You see, you're an expert on it now. All right, so Nyasha's saying that the reason her mom thinks she's a child is because she plays games on her phone. Yeah, your mom probably thinks that's a waste of time. All right. and that you ought to be doing something useful. I love games as well. But, I think the question is, Nyasha, and that's something that, you need to have a look at. You don't have to tell us, how many hours a day do you spend playing games? So I spend probably an hour a day playing games. That's, it's one of those luxuries I allow myself when I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I play a game for a while. And then I read. Or I watch something on my computer. So, I don't think that playing games is wrong. What I think is how much time you spend playing games is the issue. So I think anybody who spends, the whole day playing games obviously doesn't have a life. Because she didn't grow up with that ability. Yeah, sure. She probably had, you got to remember that a lot of your mum's thinking comes from her mother's thinking. Do you understand? It comes from your grandmother. So whatever she was told as a kid, she's now telling you. She probably was told a lot by her mother, stop playing, you need to come here and do something, help me in the kitchen or clean or do whatever. So what she does is she repeats that because that's what she was taught. I think that, everybody today plays, some degree, some time playing, not everybody, but, a lot of people spend time playing games, and there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, it's the amount of time you spend doing it. So it should be your reward rather than, when you've done the chores that you want to get done today, when you've done the tasks that I use my games as a reward. When I've done this, then I can play again. Or what I do is I work for an hour and then I'm allowed to relax and play a game for half an hour. And then I work for an hour, so I pace myself that way. So there's, this is like, I don't see that it's incorrect. This is my breakfast. This is a third of a cup of oatmeal. A whole lot of red berries and fruits. And some 2% milk. It tastes so good. It's funny how I found that I sort of went off having smoothies because of the calories, but I now realize I'm not worried about the calories as much. I'm now worried about the carbs and the nutritional value. So instead of using half a cup of oats, I now put in less because I don't want the carbs to go too high. But then I, just let it soak for a lot longer. No sugar added. Tastes good. All right, everybody. So this evening, for those of you who are on that journey with me, we're going to be doing more about emotional intelligence. And I got quite a program lined up. We're really concentrating on self-awareness steps this evening. So a lot of you already have these steps underway, but it might be a chance for you to do a little checklist and go, okay, am I doing that already? And if not, do I want to be doing that? All right. So I've got a lot of stuff that I managed to, I studied quite a bit this week on that one and wrote down things that I thought would be of value for you. Do I feel I'm enjoying my food more? I want to tell you that I have this thing about a chocolate covered ice cream bar. And I'm amazed the things I'm prepared to do during the day so I can have that one ice cream bar. And you see, that's what I said to myself. I don't want to tell myself that I can't have anything. I just have to do the right thing so that I can. So am I enjoying food more? Yes. I made some beef barley stew, and I allow myself 1 cup of that at a time. And I want to tell you that tastes so good to me. I cannot tell you how good beef barley stew is. And funny enough, it's not that bad for you either. That's the other surprising thing. And it tastes even better for being frozen. So, I just warm it up in my toaster oven because I put it into 1 cup mason jars, and then I can pull out 1 cup and reheat it. I made a salad yesterday. My friend Patty came over, and I made a salad, and I made boiled eggs to go with it. But then I also grilled a steak and sliced it up, and so that if she wanted to, she could have grilled steak on top of her salad. And she went, "Boy, this is like going to a restaurant here. This is awesome." And I had cut up all the different choices of salad. Put what you like on your salad. So to me, this is like, I can get very creative because now I know what I'm allowed to have. You understand the eggs. The eggs are good for me. I know that, so I didn't have any problem. By the way, I made them in my egglets. And so I made 2 straight boiled eggs, but then the other ones I made 2 scrambled egglets with bacon and cheese and chives in. And she was fascinated. She said, "Didn't know you could do that." And I said, "Oh yeah, you'd be amazed what I can do." Linda, we all understand the autocorrect. Don't worry. We've all, I read straight through the correction. Don't worry about that. But it's like, when would I ever have done that before? It's like, I want to tell you my little gizmo that I've got for those of you that have seen some of the things I'm cooking in there. I really love that. I can take a little piece of a potato, and mash it up with some vegetables and things, and then make a fried pancake for myself, and put some mayo over the top, because mayo really I can have. I didn't realize that until recently. And you go, wow, that's tasty. Yeah, I see. There are lots of things you can do. The trick is, instead of having 2 glumping helpings of mashed potato, I now maybe have half a cup. But I add vegetables. Linda, I keep thinking bubble and squeak. I just keep adding vegetables to the potato and make it healthy. So to me, all right, I believe that is correct. Nyasha's asking me, all right, it has a 3-minute timer on it, your elliptical, right? And the question is this: it's difficult to tell you how many miles it is because it depends on the speed at which you're going. Yeah, and Linda's saying that becoming diabetic gave her a new understanding that food has real taste and value. Yeah, I'm definitely getting there as well. Nada, I wanted to take a moment before I go to congratulate you. And to ask you a very serious question, if I may. I want to congratulate you for hanging in here the way that you do. I have a feeling that you do a lot of listening after the broadcast and so forth. And I wanted to check with you in terms of what is it that I could do that would be most helpful to you. I've got a feeling that the emotional intelligence will help a great deal, but I know that you've got a specific issue. And I wondered if I could give you the gift of one piece of learning, what would you like me to have a look at for you and put it into plain English and come up with some hopefully helpful suggestions for you. And the reason I ask you is because some people, it's pretty easy to see what they need. Beth would be a case in point, but no, it's not kind. No, honey, that's not being kind. I know that you want the help. Honey, that's not being kind on my part. You've been here, for quite a while. And what I try to do is to make sure that I'm doing content that works for people. So, but if I can find out what help you specifically want, then I can start doing, it might come up in a few weeks, but I can start doing, doing a program that works towards that for you. Well, hi to Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Sending you a hug. So, do you understand what I'm asking, Nada? What I really would like to do is to be able to give you a specific piece of help. All right. And so if you want to write to me and tell me what, or give me a case study that you'd like me to talk around or whatever, just do me a favor, send it to me in your own time. You don't have to answer it right now. I didn't really mean to put you on the spot. So Niash is saying diabetic is a challenging problem and issue. Though I eat foods just the same, I have to remember not to have cake and ice cream anymore on the same day. Yeah. So, to me, I think the best thing I did for myself, and it came from something Jody taught me, which was if you're eating sweet, make sure you eat meat. In other words, whenever I have something sweet, then I will make sure I have some sort of protein afterwards, either a piece of meat or a piece of cheese or an egg. Yeah, Nada, I got a real strong feeling on this one, so that's why I asked you. So I really feel that you want to take the next step to whatever it is that you want to do. And so just let me know privately, and I don't even have to let people know that this is yours, at all. I just want to be able to do something that's of value to you. All right. Everybody, I wish you, and Michelle, let's not forget Michelle. Did we have a round of applause for Michelle? I will see some of you this evening. We are going to be talking emotional intelligence, and there's going to be a lot of soul searching for us there, but we're going to learn a lot, hopefully. Ask ourselves a lot of questions, and only we can answer them because we don't have to lie to ourselves. How many of you know you've lied to yourself a lot of your life? You've pretended a lot. Oh, Niasha, what does that do? Okay, let me try and give you, that's what I got the board for. Hang on a second. So Niasha, if you can think of a scale. Okay, so you've got a scale, and what you've done is you've loaded up this scale with sweets. Okay, let's say you had ice cream or whatever. Can you see this? That didn't do very well, did it? See if I can have one that works better. Okay, so we just loaded a whole lot of sweets on there. Can you see that, Niasha? Now what happens is you've now got a situation where, oops, the wrong way around, where this is going to weigh this side of the scale down. Make sense? So what you do is you put protein onto this side, that being a boiled egg, some meat, anything like that. And then what will happen, it'll put your body back in balance again. That's what Jody taught me. Thank you very much, Jody, for adding that information. So can you understand that? So what I make sure is whenever I've had something sweet, I will follow it up with something that is a protein. And don't thank me for that one, thank Jody, because she understands this stuff way better than I do. So now I allow myself some sweet things, but I make sure I balance it out immediately. Oh, Linda, thank you so much. Linda's saying her alter ego is a pathological liar. You got to have a sense of humor to be able to admit that one, right? So what I want you to do is, the conversation we will have tonight is about how to, actually it's 7 p.m. Pacific, Jody, not Central. It would be 8 or 9 Central. It's 7 o'clock Pacific time and 10 o'clock Eastern. And it's the middle of the morning, early morning hours for Linda in the UK. I know you did, Jody. That's why we're a team, honey. You pick up my boo-boos and I try and help you with yours. Yeah, listen back. Have a fabulous weekend as well, Trina. We look forward to it. And remember that everything you want to do is just one step at a time. That's what I keep trying to remind you on Friday lunchtime. I don't have to get the whole of the downsizing finished this week. I just need to take another few steps. And if I take enough few steps, it's like walking my way to Alberta. If I do enough small steps, I will get there. And that's what I'm doing. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. And Michelle, thank you so much for being here. We'll see some of you tonight. Thank you for watching it on the replay, if you do. And most of all, please look after yourselves, all right? This is so important that we realize that we can look after ourselves better if we choose to. And I'm on a big mission to do that, and I will do it with the support I get with all of you. And hopefully this will continue to be an interesting journey for us all. This is Dear Mama Sal saying big hugs, look after yourselves, and I'll see you tonight. Bye-bye for now.